once again, we're back at the Laura Secord Secondary School. We've got a great trio of guys here that call themselves Rush, and I think we'll let John, the drummer, introduce the rest of the guys to you right now.
Well, introducing on lead guitar and vocals, Alex Lifeson, and on lead vocals and bass guitar, Debbie Lee, and sitting behind the drums here, myself, John Rutsey. Okay, we're going to see in this number if we get you to make a little noise along with us. Doesn't take too much. All you got to do is put your hands together like this.
The turning point came in 1971 when the drinking age was lowered to 18 from 21 in Ontario.
As soon as the drinking age dropped, actually, to 18, it was right at the time we turned 18, so we could finally start playing in bars, which were better paying, more serious gigs.
See, what happened is Yorkville got shut down by 1970. They wanted to rid that area of hippies and the clubs as it shifted onto Yonge Street and down on Queen Street as well. And as soon as the drinking age went down in 71, it invited a whole different kind of music, because a drinking crowd wants a different kind of entertainment than a listening crowd. You wanted something harder and heavier. So a whole new world grew.
The scene in Toronto was vibrant as far as live bands go. There are a ton of live venues. I went into a place called the Abbey Road Pub, which was on Queen Street, and saw Rush one night, and I remember watching them going, wow, there's something going on here.
We went from playing a couple of high school dances in the course of a month to playing 6 nights a week with matinees on Saturdays sometimes, and playing 4 or 5 40-minute sets. We started to get a little more experimental with music, and that was great because that's really where we learned our chops.
Gonna do a number called Garden Road for you. Passing down this garden road, I'm passing many times. Beauty flashing in the eye, colors ready to run. You say I see the answer that I almost know. Oh, my questions on this garden road.
Initially, I was trying to get them a record deal, and no one was willing to sign them. I couldn't get arrested, so it became obvious that I was going to have to come up with the money and do the record myself.
We looked for, I guess about 4 months trying to get a record deal on Rush in this country and couldn't get anyone interested at all. There was just no reaction. We were willing to literally give the album away if somebody would just make a commitment to promote it. Couldn't get that.
Part of the general attitude in Canada is, unfortunately, the people coming out to see you, not all of them, but quite a few of them go, well, they're a local band, how good can they be? And it's funny, you know, when other people from the States come out and they see these so-called local bands, they go, man, these guys are fantastic.
There was no one in Canada to sign you. There were no record companies here. They were outposts, really. You had to get an American deal if you wanted to do anything.
Cleveland rocks! Cleveland rocks! Cleveland rocks on WMMS.
I was up in my office, and I was listening to the new music. We were deciding what we were going to play that week, and suddenly I get this thing from Canada. And I remember dropping the needle on what was the longest cut. Because back in those days, in album rock, you were always looking for what was called bathroom songs. And a bathroom song was something that if you did have to answer the call of nature, the record wouldn't run out. And then I start listening to the song, and I'm just, oh my God, this is a perfect record for Cleveland. Back then, it was a factory town. The song Working Man, every listener in the audience felt like that. eyes light up immediately. When's the new Led Zeppelin album out? No, not a new Led Zeppelin album. Canadian band, Rush. Every time the record gets played, people are calling. Where can we get one? Where can we get one? We had this cult following going already.
June 1974, I was working at Mercury Records in Chicago. It was a Monday morning, and on my desk was an album. There's a note that comes along with it. It says here, this is the first album by a Canadian group called Rush, and that it's already selling in Cleveland, and they're looking for a deal in the United States. An artist and repertoire person who would normally listen was not in. So they took it to the least qualified guy, me. I put on the record and got blown away. I said, get the president of the company on the line. We should sign this band.
And he said, don't make a deal with anyone until we talk. And he loved the record, and he really wanted to sign us.
By the end of the day, we had worked out a deal, signing the band like within 8 hours of hearing it.
We went from getting this offer to getting an advance to buying equipment. Everything was happening very, very quickly. I don't think that John really felt comfortable with what was happening. You know, we talked about musical differences, and he was a much more straight-ahead rock kind of guy. He was more into Bad Company, whereas Ged and I were more into Yes and Genesis and Pink Floyd and bands like that. You know, if we'd stayed on the Toronto local circuit, we probably would have stayed together, and that would have been fine, but suddenly things were turning a page.
John was not a healthy boy. He had sugar diabetes. Of course, like any teenagers, they like to drink and whatever else. He was not taking care of himself. And I took Geddy and Alex aside and Ray, and I said, we have to replace John for his health. We can't put him out there on that tour, or we'll be bringing him home in a box. So I discussed it with John. Of course, he was heartbroken, but he understood. There was no saying that John wasn't doing his job. It wasn't for his ability to drum that he was let go. It was for health reasons.
It's like coming to the end of high school, and you're with all your friends in high school, and you think, oh yeah, we'll know each other forever. And then everybody just goes in their own direction, and you know, for the most part, you never see those people again. It was a big deal. We had an American contract. We were going to go to the States. We only had less than a month to find somebody and get them in shape for us to go on the road.
We needed a drummer. Let's put it like that.